Okay, so yesterday we did one calculation of SI, seasonal irregular component, from the data of daily basis data, and in that we applied 30-day moving average, and out of that, this 30-day moving average we used as a cyclical fluctuation particular data, and out of that we calculated seasonal irregular component by dividing cyclical component, sorry, total actual data with the cyclical component. Then remaining part was the seasonal irregular component. Uh, let's take this in a continuation of that particular thing. Now, another that was the as I told you, that's the indirect method. Now, the another one method you can use this regression model to calculate the seasonal component. So for that, we need the dummy variables. So today I shared a data sheet with all of you. So now tell me how is your data sheet is. You have this date variable, then GNP 96. This is a gross national product from I think 1967 to quarterly data to 1987. 1996 or 2002, yeah. There are 142 observations. So all of you have this particular data sheet. Let me sort it first. Yes, 1967 quarter 1 to 2002 quarter 2. So you have this three variables. Just tell me which, because I did some changes in this data set. You have this date variable, right? Year and quarter. Then GNP 96 variable. Then which one you have a third variable? Is it a quarter like this one or the Q1, Q2, Q3? If it's a Q1, Q2, Q3, it might be appearing in the red. Then you need to do some changes. Means first you have to convert this string variable into a numeric form. So is it you all have this 1, 2, 3, 4, or in place of this you have this Q1, Q2, Q3, Q? Please open your files and just tell me. Otherwise, you will find difficulty in calculations. Anyone of you have opened this open file which I shared today? But we are going to find some Q1, Q2. Okay, so that's a D string variable. So first you have to string it. The simple string command is not going to work here. So you have to apply this particular command. Is it visible, Sadiq sir? This D string quarter, comma, space, replace, then space, ignore, then this particular command. Means these signs are, let me see, yeah. In your laptop, this first sign is in that above the tab, then this double semicolon, Q within a double semicolon, then space, and then this particular in my laptop it's above tab, so you have to cross check these four signs. Or if you go by, or if you can use, if you face difficulty, then from the data create or change data, then variable transformation, then from transformation, convert variables from string to numeric. Here, first the name of the variable quarter, then create new numeric variables named q1, then remove these characters. Q, actually this Q is the alphabet in this particular variable that we want to remove so that it can take it other numeric values 1, 2, 3, 4. Then okay, then it will appear after this you will see this quarter variable in your data editor window as 1, 2, 3, 4. Although this particular calculation it's not maybe it's not required, but if you want to reshape all these type of things, then it is required in a numeric form. So now you have a 3 variables, first date, then GNP, and quarter as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Means you have a now numeric values for quarter variable. That's actually we need. Let me know if you are facing any problem in this. So let's continue with the yesterday, but we applied that we first we calculated cyclical change with the 30-day moving average. Then we subtracted the actual data with 30-day moving average, and the remaining part was the seasonal irregular component, and that I tried to explain with the graphs that what is the difference if you take as a multiplicative model or as an additive model. So let's do this seasonal calculation now from the regression model, this dummy variable models. So for that, first you have to make the dummy variables. Those of you have not did this d-string for this, so far not required. If you are, it's still fine with the q1, q2, q3. So to d-string make a for dummy variables for these quarters q1, q2, q3, q4, means we are going to see these changes quarter wise. So that the season is here now going to be like quarter wise. Like in monthly data, we have this monthly seasonal changes, and here now we're going to see it by quarterly. So first you have to make a quarters. If it's a month, then you have to make a dummy for 12 months. So for that command is tabulate then your variable quarter, comma, then generate. Yeah, I'm very poor to remember the commands. Yes, quarter, generate, then within bracket Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Actually, today there is a problem with the electricity. So I have this battery charge now. Okay, so to generate a dummy variable, tabulate quarter, then comma, generate, then within a bracket, give a new name for the dummy variable which you want. Let's say I have given quarter underscore dummy. And then just press enter. I already have this variable, so I'm not pressing enter. Just press enter, and then 4 dummy variables will appear in your this variable window. Just cross check it with your data editor. Now, how these dummies I've created that for the first quarter, if it's the first quarter, then value is 1. For remaining quarters, value is 0. Then for second quarter, value is 1. For remaining quarters, 0. And so on with the third quarter and with the fourth quarter. So we have now 4 dummy variables for 4 quarters. So we are going to see these changes with the this dummy variable model. Is it done? Anyone facing any problem in this? With generating dummy variables from the quarter variable. This dummy variable from this original variable, this date G 1967 Q1 Q2 Q3 Q4. From here it's not possible because there is no specific categories here. So for that I made this particular quarter variable so that we can make this dummy variables. And to make this quarter variable from this date variable, the indirect approach is that if you have a small sample data, just go to the Excel sheet, make this just 1, 2, 3, 4, and just scroll it down, drag it down, and just copy paste. But the another method, if you only want to do it with the data itself, then there is a split command. I shared, I think, this document with you for distinct the date and split command. This split command, you can desplit this characters, and then that you can use as another variable. So for simplicity, let's say you have this quarter variable. So generally, this is the way we work with the secondary data. So now you have a dummy variables. So from dummy variables, we have to find this impact of these quarters on this particular dependent variable. That's our actual GNP. The variable name here is GNP 96. So simply you have to apply a regression model. Regress, then your dependent variable, then independent variable. Now independent variables are your dummy variables, and rule of dummy variable is that m-1, otherwise there is a dummy trap. So that you have to take care of. The perfect correlation means the command will show the error. So you have to take a one less category for dummy variables. Otherwise, you will face this dummy trap problem, perfect multicollinearity. So I am taking this dummy 2, dummy 3, dummy 4, then just press enter. Now, this is that comparison of the change in the values of the GNP 96 based upon the quarters with the reference category of first quarter. Means these changes in the dummy 2, dummy 3, dummy 4, these coefficients. Although first we have to see whether these coefficients are significant or not. Like in this particular case, if we are taking a 10% level of significance, then means this particular at 5% it's not significant. Means even if you can see it from the R square that this particular impact of this dummy on this particular variable GNP 96 is quite small. Means if you can see the R square values, just 0.00 means just nearby 0 only. So there is no association kind of thing, but just to give you this glimpse of the seasonal impact on the actual values based upon the regression model. So this way you have to apply this this model. And now it's a comparison with the intercept, this left out dummy variable, first quarter. So in comparison to first quarter, in the second quarter, GNP will be on an average more by 42. If it's a rupees or dollar, whatever units is there, let's put it's a rupees, then in the second quarter as compared to the first quarter, the GNP is more by 42 rupees on an average. In the third quarter, it's less compared to the first quarter. And in the fourth quarter, again, it's a increase. So it's a increase, decrease type of thing. Means from the first, compared to first quarter, second quarter, GDP will increase. Then compared to the first quarter, in the third quarter, GDP is decreasing. And then in the fourth quarter, again, it's increasing. So it's a type of seasonal change you can find out with this particular regression model. If you want to see it with this graphical type of thing, so this is something like we have the trend value, and then this trend value, this small change is seasonal. Although in our case, this R coefficient is nearby 0, so we can't say that this seasonal has so much impact in this particular GDP data. But although overall model is significant, and at 10%, all the 3 quarters are significant, so then we have to say that there are slight, means small change, seasonal impact on this particular variable. If we want to know it in the form of percentage, that how much is the increase or decrease due to the seasonal, then first let me show you this manual process of this method, and then later on again I'll come to this regression model. So for that, now do this exercise with another method, or just for percentage, you can, what you have to do, you can calculate the average of this GNP. Let's say this average of this GNP is 6061. This is the average GDP for all these years. So if we want to know the seasonal impact on this average change, then just you have to calculate the percentage of this particular 42, 26, and 23, means with the constant. So it's 0. I think 6 or 3 something, is only a slight percentage increase in the second quarter, then decrease, then again increase, and then as compared to the first quarter. So that you can do with this calculation with the percentage, but that's not the appropriate method for this dummy variable models. So this is the impact this quarter has a seasonal impact on the GNP 96 variable. So this is another way for this seasonal changes. Yesterday we did it from the indirect method. First we calculated the cyclical component, and we divided actual data with the cyclical component, and then we found this seasonal change. So that's yesterday we did. Okay, any doubts so far? Means but the test book I have shared there, again you will find this particular model. Similarly, they did for the monthly. They made this dummy variables, and then for monthly they have seen these changes. In few months it's increasing, then other it's decreasing. The seasonal impact they found with the monthly dummy variables. So if you have monthly data, then you have to create a monthly variable dummy variables. If you have quarterly data, then you have to make a quarterly dummy variable. So that's the seasonal impact. Now with the seasonal impact, the last part we have the irregular component. So how we eliminate now, the more than to find the regular component, is the important thing is to how we eliminate the irregular movements. So the one method is to eliminate this irregular movement is to find this seasonal change, and then with seasonal change modify this arithmetic mean of the seasonal index and combine this with the, it's a combination of mean and median type of thing. This is to eliminate the irregular component, you have to make a seasonal index, and this seasonal index is it's of a modified arithmetic mean of all the seasonal changes. That's a combination of a mean and median type of thing. So let's do this exercise first. Says before, okay, just do it with this data again. Then we will try, now here we will try to eliminate the irregular components from the data. So let's see, is it working or not, this particular modifier arithmetic mean changes in the seasonal index or not. So first, find a cyclical change. Now we have a quarterly data, so if you want to make a yearly cyclical changes, then you have to take a moving average of 4 quarters. So to make that, go to statistics. Within a statistics time series, smoothers moving average filter. New variable, I'm giving a name, it's GNP96 underscore moving average. The variable needs it GNP96, actual our GNP variable. Time setting, it's automatically taking dates. So if not, then select here date. Use the format, the actual format. Okay. Then here you have to put a number of lag terms. It's now 4 quarters, so need a yearly, then 4 quarters moving average of 4 quarters. So 2 lagged items and 2 leading items, and exclude the middle one. So it's a 4 quarters moving average, and just press OK. I already have this variable, so I'm not clicking this OK. Now new variable will appear in your variable window, GNP96 underscore MA. Name you can give whatever name you want to give. For just let's see what we have done here. This cyclical means this. Again, we've calculated the cyclical trend cyclical component from this GNP quarterly data. And if we divide the actual data with this component, then we will get seasonal changes. So let's seasonal irregular component left out part means we are here going with this notion TCSI divide by TC. Then we will left out with the SI component. With this notion we are using multiplicative model. First we have to find the seasonal irregular component, then what we have to do, we have to eliminate the irregular changes out of that, then we will left with the only seasonal changes. So we are going to eliminate these irregular changes. So to eliminate, first we have to find this cyclical irregular component. For that we are going to do this actual data divide by trend and cycle. Now in place of trend and cycle separate components, let's just divide it with the cyclical component, and let's see, is it this cyclical change of this moving average, is it it's incorporating this trend also or not. So to see that, just see the graph of this particular variable, the new moving average which we have created, graph time series, line plot, plot one I already created. Just let's see what I have this here. You have to create here. So put y variable GNP96 moving average, accept, time setting is already date. Okay. Let's see this particular. Now this is the graph. Now you might get surprised that we calculated the moving average, and that this moving average is generally we say cyclical fluctuation. So this is something like the straight line. Means this this moving average, which we calculated to find the cyclical change, is incorporating both the changes, trend as well as cyclical. The reason is that we calculated the 4 quarterly moving average. That's means the change of the year. So if you have a yearly data and you calculate the cyclical component generally, that component generally include the trend pattern as well. That's the one reason Sadiq sir was telling that sometimes we can apply this moving average to long-term trend as well. So here, if you see this particular cyclical trend, then you can get this, that this is something the trend component means the trend as well. Cyclical fluctuations are both in this particular moving average. Means it's incorporating both the changes of trend as well as cyclical changes. So here, to get a seasonal and irregular component out of the actual data, you have to just divide this actual data, that's our TSI, with this moving average that's incorporating trend and cycle both. So then we will get seasonal irregular component. I hope this point is clear to all of you, that why not we are first calculating trend and then multiplying with the cyclical moving average, and then we are dividing the actual data with the T and C. In place of that, we are just dividing this actual data with this moving average only, and we will get seasonal irregular as a left out part. Means if you see this graph, then it's clear that this particular moving average is incorporating both the components, trend as well as cyclical, because we took it a long duration. It's like yesterday on those examples, I was taking example of the daily basis data. That's a quite different situation. Now here, in place of that, we have taken this quarterly data. Means it's the duration is long, so that's the another day I was telling you that if you have a year-wise data and if you take this 5-year cycle, cyclical moving average, or 3-year, that's the trend component. Which for long-term trend, you can use this moving average. So I hope this point is now clear, that why we can also use moving average for long-term trend. So that's the one reason that even we can use it. But if your duration is short, like we are working in the daily basis data, then we can't use this cyclical moving average of short duration to approximate the trend component. I hope this point is clear. So now we have this uh, T and C component both in this cyclical moving average. That's our 4 quarterly moving average. So next, we need seasonal component out of this. No, sir, I'm not typing the command. I'm just telling you this. Means today electricity was not here, so I have not made any PPT. So I'm just telling the idea behind that, that we are going to find the seasonal irregular component out of the actual data. So in place of TCSI, we need actual data. So for that, first you have to generate the new variable. I have made this seasonal variable. This is actually a seasonal irregular component, or I can say in the capital SI, equal to actual data. This actual data is TCSI. Your actual data has a combination of all the 4 components. Divide it with your T and C. Now why T and C? Sorry, yeah, because as in the graph I explained it, now this is the not as only a cyclical component in this moving average, but trend as well. So just divide this particular actual data, that's the TCSI, divide by T and C, that's this, here we have a 4 quarter moving average, and then you have a new variable that's in the ratio. This is a ratio to moving average method. So if we need it in a percentage, then just multiply it with the 100. Now you have a variable in a percentage form. So this is our seasonal irregular component with the ratio to moving average method that yesterday we did to find out the seasonal irregular component. Now we have to eliminate the irregular component out of it. Means we need elimination of irregular component. First, let's see the graph of this particular component. Means we can see that it's incorporating both the seasonal and irregular changes. So the graph which we used now in place of that, use graph of this new constructed variable. I have this name SI_100. So now you can see now this particular variable is incorporating seasonal changes, but these changes are not means this deviation is not same all the time. So it might be due to some irregular component. Means in a few quarters you can see the deviation is quite large as compared to the other quarters. So that might be due to the irregular components. So we have to eliminate this irregular component. So how we can eliminate this irregular component from the seasonal? Now you might say that divide this actual data with this or just this cyclical component with this actual seasonal changes, and let's see the whatever is the left out part. That's one way you can try it, but the better way what I found from the literature is this particular method, that's the alternative of this elimination with the combination of modified arithmetic mean. This modified arithmetic mean is that don't take the extreme values while we calculate the average. This is something type of median type of thing to eliminate the irregular component. So first let's do it, or you want to do it with the division with the seasonal change, then also you can find this left out part as the this irregular component. But so far we don't know that in this particular part, the new component we have this one, right? Seasonal. So we don't know if we divide it with the actual data, and or if we multiply it with this cyclical change and then divide with the actual data. So left out part will be seasonal or irregular, because both are in the combination. So far we can't do this division thing, like ratio to moving average. Means to find the seasonal irregular we did this, but now to find the irregular it's not possible. I hope you understand this point, because it's a combination. This new variable is a combination of both the components. So if we divide, then we don't know the left out part is for the seasonal change or for the irregular change. So the other indirect method is and eliminate the extreme changes. So how you can eliminate the extreme changes? So first just do it via manual process. So now you have to make this changes like this one. Means we have to identify extreme changes in these quarters, and then we will eliminate those extreme changes. So how you can do that? First, just make these 4 separate columns. This is also possible with the reshape command, but I don't want to go in that reshape command is stator right now, because then reshape, then the 4 separate variable, then within a 4 separate variable, then sort out and so on. Means there is a process with the stata as well, but just for simplicity, do it with the Excel to understand this process, how we can eliminate these extreme changes. So first, I need values for only quarter 1. This is a mean and median combination. So let's see how we do this combination to eliminate the extreme changes. What are these extreme changes? These extreme changes. This is the usually you can see the seasonal changes have this particular range, but in few quarters that this particular increase is much larger than the usual one. So that might be in that particular quarter due to some irregular component. So let's eliminate this. This is another method like Divya, you were saying this normal, new normal, that if you think that this in this particular year, the changes are just due to this corona impact, then you can eliminate that particular impact out of the series and you can see. But there is a one precaution here. If this particular corona impact is not only for the current year, means it's something like it has impact on all the coming years, then we can't just eliminate it from in this particular year values and we can combine the series. That's not appropriate. It's possible that its impact is on the all the next coming years, so we can't do this elimination process. But if you think that irregular component is only for that particular cycle, that particular quarter or month, or just within a year, if you have a yearly data, then you can go with this process. Just eliminate that extreme values and go with the other values. But that's the assumption you have to taking, that that impact is not on the other coming years or other coming quarters. So if that's the situation here, then elimination is, first you need these values for all the quarters, for all the years. So for to do that, just type here list quarter if this quarter dummy variable first one double equal to 1. I'm trying to explain this here with the manual process so that you can understand this elimination process, how we eliminate this irregular components. 1, sorry, list, not quarter, but this GNP, this seasonal index, these values for 1. So these values are for your seasonal irregular component for first quarter. So just to make it in Excel, just select all these, copy table, paste in your Excel. So these are the values for your first quarter, Q1. But this process is only for the small sample. Means let's suppose you have a lakhs of observations, then it's not possible that in this data first list and then lakh of observation, then copy tables. I mean, that's not the appropriate way. Then reshape method that generally we use, that's more appropriate method. But here let's suppose it's a small data set, so we can work it out. Then you need this for the second quarter. So in place of first, just change second, enter, copy now values for second quarter as a copy table, paste. Now we have values for second quarter. These are seasonal irregular component value. We have to eliminate from here irregular components. So first we are making these in the columns, separate columns. Then third quarter. Again, copy as table. Paste in your Excel. Q3, and then Q4. Is why this elimination is required. That's the one thing, that why you want to get rid of this irregular components. It might be that you think that that's a part of that year, so means that change is that increase or decrease in within the year, so why you need this elimination. That might be a situation. So First, you have to think it about it, why you want to eliminate this particular component. Can you, let's suppose if you are working with logistic or production and these things, then this is a how much stock you have to keep it. So if you know the seasonal changes, actual seasonal, accordingly you can make this arrangement. But it might be that in some years or some month or quarters, the increase or decrease is due to some irregular component. So to handle with that means to just get this idea that how much extra means there might be sometimes a slight jump in the demand due to just irregular component type of thing. For example, yeah, let's suppose again I'm taking this hotel industry example, tourism industry. Let's suppose sometimes there is slight increase in the tourist because of uh, more snowfall, or for example, this year like this Atal Tunnel is started in this particular this Lahore Spiti district from Manali. Now it's that road generally closed for 6 months, but now this year it's open. So this tourist this ratio is going to change in Manali. Maybe they are now shifting to other places where they can enjoy more snowfall or other winter sports. So there is a slight jump there. So there are so many reasons for irregular components. For that, you need something extra buffer stock type of thing. So you need some idea, right? Means how much extra. So even it's not a case of elimination, other than might be you need this information that do we need some extra buffer stock means and any idea. So let's suppose you have a past year data. From that you can get some idea. And another that how much on an average we keep a stock for the seasonal changes. So again, for that this irregular components is not going to give you the actual data, actual information or input. So first eliminate those changes and then take the decision based upon that. So now you have this 4-quarter data value. So first arrange them in a order because we are going to use this mean and median to eliminate it. So first just drop this this eliminate these gaps. So I already have here this made this data, so I'm not eliminating. Just eliminate this, select all these, like you have this one, then the next one, and just drop it or delete this one. But actually I have here the data, so I'm not shifting it up, but you can do it. And then after doing that, just make a new variable rank. Now we are going to arrange them in a smallest to highest order. So after eliminating these gaps, just make a new variable, this rank, and then arrange them in a from this filter option, smallest to largest. So these all the 4 variables I had made from smallest to larger, means this filter option for one by one for all these 4 from smallest to highest. So now we have this quarter values in a particular order. Now, since we have arranged this in an order, now we know the extreme values. Means these smallest one are either the extreme values or the largest values. These one are the extreme values. So in the graph, these highest and these values. Sometimes more than these 4 or 5 cases, and here in the downside as well, there are some large deviations in few quarters that might be due to some irregular component. So this idea, now we have this from median information because now we have arranged them in a particular order on a smallest to highest. So we know that this starting this smallest values and these largest values, these are the extreme. Now how many? Means this 2, 3, 4, or 1. Here the some subjectivity is, it's depend upon the situation. If it's a yearly data or monthly data type of thing, then just eliminate one. Means if you have a 12 values, or then just eliminate one or two for the extreme values, not more than that. So eliminate those extreme values, and then the left out part, that you can say that is due to seasonal changes, and this extreme was the due to some irregular components, so we eliminated. Now to get an actual seasonal change of these 4 quarters, what do you have to do? Now you have to calculate the average for the remaining part. So that's why we say this particular modified arithmetic mean. How you calculate for the remaining part average? Just let me delete this one. Average. Now I'm going to eliminate the extreme cases. So I'm not taking this first one or the second one. I'm only taking this from third to, I'm eliminating two values from both the sides to eliminate the extreme values. Enter. Now just drag it down for all others. Now these are your quarterly changes. Now what it means that as compared to the first quarter, in second quarter this change is although very small, 0.3. That's what I was telling you, that in this regression model which we applied for this quarterly dummy variables, we found these results that r is nearby 0. Means this is not so much impact here, but it's just something in points. So let's suppose this is a quarterly data and we are trying to look upon the seasonal impact, and if these variables are statistically significant, although here these are significant on a 10% level of significance. So the change is here, like in this second quarter compared to first one, the increase is of just 0.10. Means it's just 0.10%. Then slight decrease of 0.06%, and then here again it's a nearby 100 approximately. So this is now, this change is after elimination of irregular components. Means either you can go with the regression model, as you can see these changes, if they are statistically significant, you can get this notion that okay, there is a change due to seasonal impact. Or if you want to get rid of irregular component out of this seasonal change, then you have to eliminate these extreme changes and then just calculate average for the remaining part. So average for the remaining part is your actual seasonal change in your data. So now it's in the percentage, so we can say that this is 0.7% increase, then 0.10 increase, then decrease, and so on. So this is the, and if you combine this all the four, it's approximately 400. So it means uh, increase and decrease cancelled out. That's the seasonal, right? If it's increasing, that's not a seasonal change. Seasonal changes that eliminate within a year. So if there is an increase in 2 quarters, then there is a one decrease in quarter. So it's approximately eliminating. So more or less the sum is 400. So that's what we need. So this is how you can eliminate the irregular components out of the seasonal component. Any doubt in this particular methodology? Here, this is the data I have taken from the internet, but I just modified it so that I can give you this example of eliminating this process, and might be the change is only of 0.0 something, because GDP is not, this thing you have to always keep in mind, that GDP is not only depend upon the time variable. There are n number of macro factors, right? And here we are just trying to study the time factor, that how much is the impact of these forces, this seasonal forces, cyclical forces, trend forces, means the time component. So that might be sometimes there are variables like here, this is the variable where impact of this particular forces is so small, like seasonal impact is only something 0.00 something. So, and there might be variables where this impact of this forces is quite high. Like if you have this vegetables data or this textile or some commodities which are related to the seasons, their demand and supply, there it might be a impact is more. So there you have to take care about the irregular component. Uh, is it clear? So I'm trying to make effort as applied as possible to explain you as much as possible, so that you can get these ideas, the time series changes. Means, but you have to keep in mind that variables are not only affected with the time only, there are n other factors. Time is the only one component. And when we work with the cross sectional, we ignore the time component, that it's not the time, but it's the other factors. So there we not even include the time variable. Okay, so any doubt in this particular method? Means this dummy variable for the seasonal changes and how we eliminate the irregular components. No one is responding. Maybe either you are still trying or you are not getting the point, or maybe you are clear with this point. Okay, so if you're clear with this elimination process, then the next is cyclical irregular. Now this was the seasonal irregular. There are chances that there might be a situation where in place of seasonal irregular, you need cyclical irregular component. So how you can do that? For that, first you have to find the trend. Then from trend, from actual data, just divide it with the trend component. And then this ratio of actual data with the trend and seasonal. The remaining part is cyclical irregular component. So first we need a trend component here. We will multiply this trend component with the seasonal as ratios component. And then if we divide this actual data with T and S, then the remaining part is our cyclical irregular component. So let's do with the same example. We have actual data GNP 96. First thing is find the trend component. So trend is generally our regression, regress, actual variable, dependent and independent variable is the time. Now we need a y hat value, that's our straight line trend value. Here the variable is significant, R value is quite high, means this GNP is increasing over time. But that might be there are variables which generally increase over the times. But here you only have one variable, so that's we call serial correlation or spurious correlations type of thing. So first, let's see our trend value T. So for that we need y hat. So predict y hat, and we need a graph of this y hat. Y hat. Okay, let's see a graph of actual data y hat and another. Okay, just two. Let's see these two first. Okay, so this blue one is the actual data, and this red one is the trend. Means over time it's increasing, but here you can see it's first increasing, then decreasing, more or less than increasing. Although this trend line is not a better fit here, type of maximum times the actual values are below the, or might this is because of the short duration. Means for time series studies we need a long term duration data sets, or maybe mistakes of the selection of time frame. That example I gave in the first example, the incorrect prediction about the future values because of the inappropriate selection of the time. But let's suppose we did it in a correct manner. This is our trend value. So what we need a cyclical irregular component out of this particular actual data. So the next thing is the trend now we have is now what we are going to do. We are going to do the TCSI divide by seasonal and trend component T and S, and then the remaining part is cyclical irregular fluctuations. So we need cyclical irregular fluctuations. So for that we need trend as well as seasonal, so that we can divide original data with these values and we can get with the left out part, that's a seasonal irregular changes. Sorry, cyclical irregular changes. So now we have a trend values, y hat is our trend values. The next we need seasonal. So here you can calculate, we need these ratios, the left out part that we calculated. So we already calculated here this ratio variable SI. So let's multiply this ratio with the trend variable so that we have a TS. So generate TS trend and seasonal in a combination equal to multiply now but trend value, that's y hat, with the ratios value, that's a seasonal, and this is our TS. And now take a division of actual data with this particular variable. So generate cyclical irregular component equal to actual data divide by T and S. Now we have a cyclical irregular data. First, just look upon this particular data set. Cyclical irregular changes. Again, take it in a percentage form, so just multiply it with 100. CI multiply by 100. Now we have in the cyclical irregular in the ratio. Earlier we have a seasonal irregular in the ratio. Now we have a cyclical irregular in the ratio. Now just see its graphical form, that trend, with trend we have this actual data and seasonal change. So you might see the seasonal change, this green line. This is in a proportion of 100. So okay, just see this particular cyclical on the single variable. Then you can see more clarity about cyclical irregular component. So this is a cycle here we have, that's with the up and down, but with the irregular component. So it's quite tricky type of cycle. So then downfall in the GDP due to cyclical forces from 19 this is 67 first quarter till 1980 80 or 82 83, and then it was an upward cycle. If you go with the previous graph with the y hat and actual data, then it's quite visible here also that earlier it was relative, it was a downward in the cyclical forces this particular time period, and with the trend compared to trend, and then there is an increase. So if you go by this cyclical component, this is the cycle here we have this particular down increase and again down then increase, but this is not the only GDP. This is one component of all these components: seasonal, trend, and cyclical irregular. So this is the cyclical. Means these slight change are might be because of the irregular components. But when we take a cyclical changes, it's like here we have taken cycle of 4 quarters. That's approximately 1 year data. So we quarterly data. So we can say that this particular cycle changes has irregular components, but that's incorporating within a cycle or year. So that's no need to separately eliminate the irregular. But if you think there is significant impact of irregular components within a cycle, then elimination is required. Means let's suppose if this data in place of we have a yearly data, then elimination of irregular component out of this graph is not required. We are eliminating because we have this quarterly data. Let me give you this example. For the seasonal, yeah, this one. This is the left out part is the cyclical irregular component. Now the again thing is whether it required to eliminate the irregular component out of it, then the process is still remain like we did with the seasonal factor. But if it's like annual data and large data sets, then this elimination is not required. If I can give you one another example. Yeah, this one. If you have annual data, like generally we have this GDP and all data. Like, let's suppose there is a production data you have. First, you have to calculate the trend, that's the y hat you have. Then if we take a subtraction or a change in this actual value minus trend value, that the cyclical residual is there. And if we take its proportion, this cyclical residuals out of that, so this percent change is the something due to the cycles, business cycles. And here, because it's a yearly data, and within a year, we can say that this irregular change up and downs will at the annual data, that's don't make any impact because that's for 1 month or 2 months. But it's not always like the demonetization case means that's impact was not on those quarters only, that has the impact on the other quarters of the next year as well. Similarly, might be the case of this corona. So it might be that this impact of 2020 may be on the 21, 22, 23. So in that case, we can't just eliminate these irregular components. We can say the changes are only because of the cyclical nature on the yearly data. Then the situation is different. Instead, we need some separate method. But if these irregular changes are of the small duration, like for 15 days, 10 days, then in the yearly, they don't have any impact. So we can say the gap between trend and actual data is just because of the cyclical fluctuations. So this is how you can calculate cyclical irregular components, seasonal irregular, then you can eliminate the irregular components if you want to see the only seasonal changes. So I hope it's clear now that how we find the long-term trends. For that, you need a mathematical equational forms. It might be linear, might be non-linear. And with that, you can also use the moving average if it's a long-term data like yearly data and you're taking 5-year, 3-year moving average that you can see. Let me give you that example here once again, that if let's suppose I am taking a this cyclical moving average of not of 4 quarters only. Let me I take a 3-year case, uh, 12 quarters. If you can do that, you can see, then you can see this y hat, your y hat and your this particular moving average is going to be merge type of thing. Yes, I hope this y hat line is clear to all of you. Yes, this is our y hat, the straight line trend line method. And in place of that, let's take a 3-year quarter moving average, the 12 quarters. Statistics, time series, smoothers, single moving average. Now here I'm taking MA for 12 quarters. So here 6 lagging and 6 leading. Time setting is state. Okay. Okay. Now you have a GNP 96 MA with a 3 years data. It's a type of and indirectly 3-year moving average type of thing. Now let's see a graph once again with the y hat and this 3-year moving average. So you can see now that this green one, if I can only show you this green line only. This is this red one, means the duration is increasing, then this is type of means more or less a trend type of thing. Or the gap you can, the maximum gap you can take, like in place of this 12 moving average, if I can take 5 years, then it's 20. In place of just 3 year, I'm taking the 10. But this is not a yearly data. If it's a yearly data, then you can see this straight moving average. Here again, there is some curve type of nature because of its calculation of quarterly average. But if it's yearly data, then you can see this clearly changes in your graph. So in place of 12, now let's see the 20. Now, if you see this only 20 means 5-year type of moving average, you can see a just straight line type of moving average. So this is you can also use moving average for long-term trends. Means when you have this particular restriction of that mathematical equation, you don't know the mathematical equation and you have yearly data. So if it's a non-linear or something, means if the problem is there with some function, means you don't have this option to apply OLS and these methods for the long-term trend, then you can go with the moving average. And these are the adjustment you have to make with the data. Here in this, at various places in the statistical tools, there is something like you have to apply your own strategies type of thing. It's like in the stock market examples I am giving means that if it depends upon the purpose, means if my purpose is to find the trend, then I know these are the methods. Maybe this moving average is only for the cyclical fluctuation. But I have this notion that if I take a longer duration of moving average, the gap between actual is this deviation is going to be deleted, and that's more or like the trend type of thing. And I can rather than going with this non-linear forms and trying to identify the equational I can just go with the moving average with the longer duration. Then means for trend, you have a linear equation method, non-linear equational forms. For that, first you have to need adjustment in the variables accordingly, and you can apply the OLS method if your parameters are linear. Means you can apply this logistic form, semi-logarithmic forms, and other reciprocal form. Those all will give you some non-linear forms of the trend. Or you can apply moving average as well if data is of the long duration. Then for the cyclical fluctuations, you have two methods: moving average, exponential smoothing method. Moving average you can apply if you think the changes means of the short duration, and you have this daily basis data, or if it's a minute basis type of, means it depends upon the variable you are working upon, you can go with the moving average. But if you think equal weightage is not required, means you want to give a more weightage to the present one, then you can go with the exponential smoothing method. And the criteria to fix the parameter there is value of alpha is based upon the minimum value of mean squared error. But there is a problem with that I already explained it yesterday, that then you might face this particular problem with this, because if you're giving maximum weightage only to the present value, then lagged impact is something missing in that particular scenario. For the seasonal, there is no some straight direct method. There are indirect methods. First one is that ratio to moving average. Then you can get seasonal irregular component. Out of that, you can eliminate the irregular component with this modified arithmetic mean process. And if you need a cyclical irregular component, then just again find the trend component and seasonal ratio component, multiply the trend with the ratio, and divide actual data with this component, you will get with the cyclical irregular component. But that's only a good approximation for cyclical irregular if you have a long duration data. Otherwise, if it's a short duration data like daily basis and you can combine both cyclical and irregular, and there might be changes just because of irregular components. So then you need some strategy to eliminate the irregular components. So I hope this time series is this basic time series. There are so many things that we will do in the part 4 with the time series. But if your independent variable is just a time, it's theoretically, I would say, if you want to know the change in your variable just because of the time, then these are the strategies you can adopt, where your independent variable is time, and you are thinking that the change in your particular variable is because of these changes of these forces which make cycles and seasonal changes. If you have this theory and background, then you can apply these methods to identify the change in your variable, relation of your variable with the time component. Then it's depend upon situation. Is it your short duration data or longer duration? If it's a short duration, cyclical and seasonal methods you have to adopt. It's a long duration, you need to know the trend, then go with the trend methods. Irregular, its direct method is not possible. It's just an elimination process that we can do. So that's what we have planned. I had planned for this particular part 2. Now in both the parts, we have completed maximum possible things in this 4 weeks duration. So we started with the descriptive stat in the part 1 and hypothesis testing for the descriptive stats, both for categorical and quantitative data. With the hypothesis also, I try to give you some examples of non-parametric tests, so that if you are working on qualitative data and all, then you can apply a few non-parametric methods as well. This second part, this is our association part. We were trying to look upon the association among the variables. So we started with the correlation technique, both for all the type of variables, ordinal, ratio scale, and nominal as well, with the chi-square and Cramer-V method. Then in regression, because of the time restriction, I was just here with the bivariate regression analysis and only quantitative independence that we will do in the part 3 and part 4. Then basic time series, where I'll try to give you these examples of how to identify the trend and the possible methods for short duration and long duration. So thank you so much for all of you for this attending part 1 and part 2 patiently with me, and I hope you're getting something out of these. Means these are something what I think that I also missed in my regular classes during my masters, and also that's the main reason that I think why not we can apply these tools practically and learn as maximum as possible. Although I know I have limitations, I'm not expertise in all the subjects. Still, I need many things to learn. Like in this data itself, there are so many commands. Like today, I did it with the manual process with reshape. You can do this within a 5 or 10 minutes. There are so many things in data as well we need to learn. But as far as concern is, I receive many queries that why not R or Python. My point is just this that you can apply R, Python, SPSS, whatever you want to know. Econometric results will never change, right? Unless you are this machine learning new program, you are including something. But if our purpose is here only to learn statistical and econometric tools, so even if it's a R, Python, state SPSS, results are going to be same because method is same. That won't make any difference. But yes, in future, with possible, I also try to make supplement videos with the other softwares here for all these lectures, so that if you are working with the Python or R, then you can go with that. But results and method is not going to change. Only the process is going to change, that how you can go with the R or Python. So R is something, this free outsource software, so that's much popular in these days. And for coming part 3 and part 4 now, that's totally a econometric thing. In the part 3, first I'll start with the basic econometric, then assumptions of OLS, problems with these assumptions, then how we apply this OLS, hypothesis all, and then first take a multivariate case, because in this part 2, we have not done anything with the multivariate regression analysis. Then with multivariate, one by one, I'll go with these assumptions of multicollinearity, problem of autocorrelation, heteroscedasticity, model specification, their problems, causes, as well as solutions. Rather than just theoretical, I try to give examples of numerical problems as well with the data software, that generally when we study this basic econometrics course in masters and all the bachelor honors courses, theoretically we know that this the solution we textbooks give us this remedies was these problems, multicollinearity, auto, but hetero. But when we work practically, that I realize this remedies not work, means there are limitations with these remedies, then there might be some another solution you need. So one or two, when I tried with autocorrelation and all these few I have that examples I try to give you as well. But still there are many ways, many problems in these where these remedies will not work, and the end part is that you have to either change the variable transform, or you have to go with another model, or you have to leave the regression if there might be a situation. And also in the part 3, we will incorporate this dummy variable, because that's a much crucial variable, qualitative variables, geographical informations, or the social variables with the economic variables as a independent variables. And in the fourth, all the remaining part, the dependent qualitative variables, then the time series, this ILS to LS model, structural equation models, panel data, all other details of time series from Unitro, test, co-integration, BOR, ARIMA, all those models that we will try to cover in part 4. So just want to thank you all, especially Divya and others who are all the time helping me to find the commands and all. I need help of all of you, means it's not the Divya or the others. Anytime you find something new or easy command, just share with others. There's no harm in the sharing. You will learn more value, try to share and do these experiments with your data. I just Like examples, I'm making this modifying these data sets. There might be n number of combinations. Like here we miss this exercise with the yearly data. So you can try it with the yearly data, make a moving average, just see is that giving you the trend line. Means there is no requirement of trend equation. The limitation is of the forecasting. Means do some experiments. You you will get to learn many things with the experiments. That's the only way we learn maximum. So thank you so much. In and just need your those of you are not going to attend part 3 or maybe leaving this with the part 1 and part 2. I think Divyani is not going to be with us in part 3. So if Divyani is present, I just need your views, Divyani, about this part 1 and part 2. I'll share this feedback form with you that also I need. But with that, I hope you can share these classes with among your group so that others can also learn, and any important feedback where I might be not able to give as maximum as possible, that also you can share with us. So if you are present right now, I just need to know your views about this particular series, how it is different what you have learned in masters and bachelor's. Is there something useful you learned, or there are things that I have to incorporate for future these type of series? So is Divyani present? So I'm giving this to you. Or any one of you those not going to be with us part 3, part 4. I hope Lavanya, I'm not sure. Lavanya is going to be with us part 3, then it's okay. Otherwise, you can share your views. For any one of you, Sadiq sir or anyone else, those who are not going to be with us for other parts. So anything you want to incorporate or you want to share. Means from my side, it's done for the part 2 as well. So now we will start on Monday with the part 3. So any one of you just want to share your thoughts. I think Divyani is not present today. Okay. Okay, Divyani, all the best, and I hope you learn as maximum as possible.